hands in mine. I was almost persuaded. Persuaded. I told her to leave me alone. And that's what she's done. Just what she's done. And a house built for two ain't a home when it's lived in by one. Oh, one lonely one. I no longer hear footsteps arrive down the hall. But here come the teardrops. Bitter they are, harder they fall. Oh, she caught me lying. And she caught a train. And I got a fever walking home in the rain. Oh, but it's over. She left me once and for all. Here come the teardrops. Bitter they are, harder they fall. It comes the teardrops. Bitter they are, harder they fall. How about Waylon? The highway, she's a hotter than 9 kinds of hell. Rides there as scarce as the rain. When you're down to your last shuck with nothing to sell and too far away from the train. It's been a good month of Sundays. I had a tall drink of yesterday's wine. Left a long stream of friends and sheets in the wind and some satisfied women behind. Oh, ride me down easy, Lord, ride me on down. Leave word in the dust where I lay. Say I'm easy to come, easy to go. Easy to love when I stay. Devil himself. Son of a gun. Oh, stars in the shine. Ride me down easy, Lord. Ride me on down. A lot of people sang Almost Persuaded. Let's see how George Jones does it. Who's your favorite country singer? They asked Johnny Cash. And he said, You mean other than George Jones? Down easy. All right, here's George. Last night, all alone in the bar room, I met a girl with a drink in her hand. She had ruby lips and out cold black hair. And eyes that would tempt any man. And she came and sat down at my table. And she pressed her soft hands in mine. I found myself wanting to kiss her. For temptation was flowing like wine, and I was almost persuaded. He's great. George is the best. I'm just a bartender. I don't like my work, but I don't mind the money at all. I see lots of sad faces and lots of bad cases of folks with their backs to the wall. I need four walls around me to hold my life and keep me from going away. Oh, my life is taken away. At your jokes, fall down on your knees. all, all sad music. It's all sad music. Just can't help believing. It's hard to sing. And there is your morning. I in the rhythm of your sighs. Time has gone again. this time. All right, we have 12,428 rail town. In the twilight glow, I see her. Blue eyes crying in the rain. And when we kissed, and I parted, I knew we'd never meet again. And so, love is like a dying ember when only memories remain. Through the ages, I'll remember blue eyes crying in the rain. You can't tell, but that's Elvis, not Willie. You can't tell. All you're hearing is crap. When we meet up yonder, we'll go hand in hand again. In the land that knows no heartache. Blue eyes crying in the rain. Fat Elvis was the best. Put your sweet lips, put your sweet lips a little closer to the phone. Let's pretend that we're together all alone. Tell the man the tote box way down low. And you can tell that man with you, he'll have to go. We can't say the words I want to hear when you're with another man. If you love me, answer yes or no. Darling, I will understand. Put your sweet lips, all right, to the phone. Just pretend we're together all alone. Tell the man to turn the jukebox way down low. And tell your friend there with you, he'll have to go. All right, there's so many songs, you can't play them all. Let's see where the stock is. Of course, it's down. Railtown is down 0.001 at 43.3 last trade. The volume is 89,017. 89,170. The bid 12,500 is bid for at 42.51, and there's offered 52,500. I'm sure it's non-existent shares at 44.7. Oh, it's too bad. I don't have any coffee left. A little bit. That helps. Just a taste. It's enough. Last trade was at 12.44, so almost an hour ago, 500 shares at 0.433. Prior to that, there was a trade 2 hours earlier, 1,500 shares at 0.42. So there's very little volume. It's a great opportunity to buy the stock, and you're frozen. You're frozen. You're frozen. Partly, if it's like me, you don't have any money, or you just go, oh my God, it's red again. Well, you know the game. You know the game. I would love it if we could get to 12,500,000. I would love that. Because I would know that some of you are going to be rich. What else is going on? GDC is down 41.5 at $5.25. A friend of mine told me there was a gap there, so maybe that's it. Maybe it's done all the work it needs to do to the downside. I don't know. We can talk about that if you care to hear my thoughts, but otherwise, there's no upside in it for me to talk about it. I would listen to or follow on Twitter, follow Dirty Randy Han, and there's some other people too that follow it, like Patient Swings follows it, so you can stay up to date on that. Unfortunately, I'll try to get rid of it, but I show GTII here. I guess I looked it up yesterday, down a penny at 9 cents. G-Bucks is flat at 45 cents, and Finger Motion is down somewhat, 3.5 cents at 162.5. It looks like we're headed to war. And I'd like to ask you guys something. I saw that a young woman, pregnant, 24 months, she got mad at Trump and RFK for pointing out that when mothers are pregnant, they shouldn't take Tylenol, or at least they should be careful, talk to their doctor, because there's a link of Tylenol to the baby for AHDH, whatever that is, or autism. So women, and we believe women should be allowed to vote. We believe women, if they run everything, they're going to make the best decisions. But women are mad at Trump, so pregnant women are taking Tylenol just to get back at Trump. Well, she killed herself. She's on life support at the hospital. She didn't mean to kill herself, but she gobbled Tylenol just to prove, I guess, her views on Trump. Well, now her baby may or may not make it, and the husband has to decide whether he's going to sign up for the expense and probably the disappointment of trying to save the baby. I don't know. I know men have other moments of bad judgment, like when they're speeding or when they're angry and pull out a knife or a gun. I know. We're all just human beings. We all have our different angles. But I got to tell you, that doesn't give me much confidence in the future when it's going to be female and you're going to have female decision making going on. Obama defends Tylenol. Speaking of female, gets wrecked. Donald Trump warned pregnant women not to take the drug acetaminophen, citing research showing a link to autism in children. Obama defended the drug, writing, broad claims around certain drugs and autism have been continuously disproven. And as such claims undermine public health, do harm to women who are pregnant, and creating what? Did you die and become a doctor? Obama must have missed the receipts showing a mountain of research, as well as Tylenol's own warnings. Tylenol had its own warnings that pregnant women should avoid the drug or talk to your doctor. Tylenol responded to Barack Obama. We actually don't recommend using any of our products while pregnant. Oh gosh, we're just crazy. We're just crazy. Acetaminophen in pregnancy is linked to higher risk of ADHD and autism, according to UPI. Hello, UPI. This is Martha. So they're talking about a dip in the market. Is that the beginning of a correction? And I'm looking for it. I also saw that our economy was a lot stronger. They upped our GDP, I think, to 3.5% for the quarter. Here it is. Q2 GDP revised sharply higher to 3.8%, best quarter in 2 years. Well, that sounds great, but if you're on Wall Street, you're thinking they're not going to lower interest rates anymore. That's what you're thinking. So that's the pause going on. Simon White of Bloomberg is pointing out that interesting concept. He says there may be limited signs of sell America so far, but what if the proximate risk is that America is starting to sell itself? Recent data show that this is indeed becoming the case. Aside from the Fed, U.S. domiciled financials were the only sector to reduce Treasury holdings in the last quarter, even as foreigners continued to buy. Within the financial sector, the single largest holder of Treasury securities is not banks or pension funds or even bond funds, but money market funds. And this gets to the heart of what is likely to be an escalating issue as the Fed cuts rates under government duress. The assets held by money funds are typically invoked as a waiting in the wings booster for stocks as rates fall. But in the current cycle, the exodus of this cash points to structurally higher, longer-term yields. Well, let's not get overly analytical on that topic. Ex-President Sarkozy given 5 years in prison for Libya campaign. I wonder if Mick Jagger will come back for his wife. Silver's going parabolic. Of course it is, because we're not in it. Chevron strikes a deal with Israel to build a natural gas supply pipeline to Egypt, selling Palestinian gas. Well, who knows who owns what, but it's called the Goliath Field, and it's potentially partly owned by Palestinians. And then they have, I think it's the Leviathan Field, which is even bigger, off the coast of Gaza. But it's just because it's smelly Arabs that are terrorists. It's not that Israel wants to steal that gas and oil. We should be friends with Russia, but we're going to go to war with Russia. And that's a shame. It really is, because we won't survive it. And if we do survive it, our lifestyle will change. So let's try to make enough money so we can be independent of all the craziness. Mainstream media forgets that they've been warning about Tylenol and pregnancy for over a decade. I don't know. Women can't live with them? Pass the peanuts. That was actually the only scene I ever saw of that show. Put your sweet lips a little closer to the phone. Yeah, this is Martin Armstrong. Trump taking us into World War III. The neocons are advising Trump, all is lost. The computer will be correct, so buckle up. If September proves to be the high for the euro, things can change starting in October. Trump may think he can put pressure on Russia to stop the war, but he may get a reality check. He has no idea what he is playing with. These neocons will never accept peace with Russia. Their entire lives have been filled with hatred of Russians, as Putin is well aware. There will never be peace with the West, and Trump has just signed the death warrant for the United States. China will emerge as the financial capital of the world after 2032. Just like the London bankers couldn't see that World War I would end their domination of the world, the domination of Britain. They voluntarily got into a war that destroyed all of them all because of the ethnic hatred in the Balkans. History repeats. This is our turn. All right. Let's look at the prices again. I'll try to answer some of your questions. I don't know what ideas to talk about that'll help you if you're still hoping that Railtown will work. Then you don't understand the story, and I don't know what angle I should take to more fully flesh out the story for you. I was thinking we could go through AIP Partners, Dr. Tom Core, John Ruffalo, Mike Norbrega, Olmers. That's on the AIP side. We perhaps could go through some of their companies. There's 180 of them. Maybe we can Google some of their companies and see if Google has revenue for those companies. And well, how can you keep talking about those revenues when AIP is only doing $2 million a year? It doesn't make any sense. Well, of course not. Of course it doesn't make any sense. Why would it make sense? There's a concept on Wall Street. It's not new. It happens in industry after industry. And a bunch of financiers, a bunch of Wall Street types will get together and they'll raise money. They'll start a company. And the goal of the company will be to roll up a highly fragmented industry, a highly segmented's the wrong word. An industry where there's a lot of players and there's no one player, or at least in a big portion of the industry, there's no one big player. So the idea is, well, we'll go in. It might happen with cab companies. You see it now, every city you go in, there's one or two cab companies. But in the past, there were probably a dozen or 20 companies. And they didn't roll them up, but it's a similar idea. If a Wall Street group got together and said, why don't we go buy Capital Cab, and then we'll roll up Yellow Cab, we'll roll up Blue Cab, we'll roll up Catch Us If You Can Cab, we'll roll up A Night Out with the Neighbor's Wife Cab, and we'll roll up Golden Cab, and we'll roll up Diamond Cab, and we'll put it all in one big cab company. We'll cut some of the fat, we'll bring in the talent, and that way, as we roll these up into our one big, beautiful cab company, we're creating cost savings, we're creating much more revenue, we're creating pricing power by rolling up these companies. Rolling up is acquiring the underlying companies, but it's a little more than that. It's rolling up a segment of a split segregated industry and trying to take existing companies who have customers and growth and revenue, rolling them up together into one company to get the benefit of higher cash flows, higher revenues, cost savings, synergies, and creating cash flows by doing it. And of course, if the bankers are doing it, they're getting paid. If VC people are doing it, they hope to create value. That's what roll-ups are. There's a company called Constellation Software. It's had a sharp correction, Constellation Software. It's not 5,000 Canadian anymore, it's 3,800 Canadian. But there's the chart of Constellation Software. From about 2012 to now, it's had a phenomenal run. You know what Constellation Software does? They roll up companies. They roll up software companies. They acquire software companies. And they've done it so fantastically that I know why the stock's down, actually. I remember they just changed their policy. They were able to make huge distributions of capital every quarter to shareholders. I know what happened. They changed their strategy. Leonard, someone asked him, well, if you're doing such a good job creating rates of return and cash flow, why give the money back to shareholders? Why don't you just take that money and get better returns than shareholders now to know how to get? Just keep the money in the company and grow the company's metrics that way, their number, the cash flow and et cetera. And I bet that's why the stock's down, because they've changed their distribution policy. All right, so here's one article on Constellation Software from Medium. I just Googled it. Lessons from Mark Leonard, founder of Constellation Software. Guess I can move my can of water now that I almost knocked it over. Mark Leonard launched Constellation Software in 1995 when he left the venture capital world with 25 million in capital. I wonder if they'll tell you where that 25 million came from. I'll have to Google another article, I'm sure, but that 25 million came from John Ruffalo and from OMERS, or a big portion of it did. Since then, Mark Leonard has quietly been building and compounding one of the biggest and most successful software firms in the world, all without fanfare. Hope I'm not getting gout again. I was blown away by the story of this entrepreneur who I had never heard of. Here was a business genius who had started with $25 million and turned it into a massive publicly listed company with a market cap of over 90 billion. I had to find out more. So I started reading Mark Leonard's shareholder letters and discovering all I could about this near mythical Canadian entrepreneur. Business lessons from Mark Leonard and Constellation Software. The power of decentralization. This guy that's writing this article, already being in blockchain technology, I already know about decentralization and its benefits. Leonard has taken this approach to business. When Constellation acquires a software firm, he doesn't take it over and dictate how things should go. He trusts the team in place to keep growing and lets them get on with it. The aim is to preserve expertise and allow those who know best to keep growing the firm. Everybody talks about the importance of delegation in business, but few master it. While Constellation does support its acquisitions with capital for growth and with strategic support, it lets those who know best grow the firm at the grassroots level, the acquired firm. The management team is often kept in place, the existing culture is preserved, and the company is given a lot of autonomy. That said, and let's see if you see any pattern here, Constellation does ask its companies to share data and best practices with each other. So while autonomous, they are constantly learning from each other, accelerating growth, and creating a positive feedback loop. Does it sound like anybody's strategy? Another thing, Constellation focuses on niche markets. Constellation doesn't acquire what you'd call mainstream software firms. Now, I think this is different with what AIP is trying to do in the AI space, but they're not mainstream yet. And that's probably why Constellation stays under the radar. It acquires vertical market software, VMS, vertical market software companies that dominate niches and have steady cash flows. For example, in 2022, Constellation acquired Allscripts Hospital for $700 million. If you've never heard of Allscripts, you're not alone. It provides electronic health record systems among other programs. These are the kind of companies that Mark Leonard buys. They dominate their niches and would be difficult to replace, so they have a moat and are somewhat protected from competition. He also buys in diverse industries so that Constellation isn't exposed to overexposed to one market or another. Another thing, he does long-term thinking. Long-term thinking. not hot money, long-term thinking. This comes up again and again when studying great founders and great CEOs. They almost always think in decades rather than years. And here, a lot of you guys think in minutes. Some companies think only of the next quarter or a few years out. Leonard thinks about long-term value creation and sustainable compound growth. Leonard and all great founders are thinking years down the road and are willing to wait. Another thing, conservative deployment with high return on investment. One of the most important metrics a company should have if Constellation Software is going to buy it is strong cash flows and solid returns on investment. Do you see a pattern there? These AI companies have strong revenue. I assume it translates into strong cash flows. And many of them, the top ones, are going to have tremendous returns on investment. So how do they do it? Well, Constellation has made many acquisitions without debt. It uses existing companies' cash flows and profits to acquire more companies, creating a self-perpetuating money printing machine. The return on investment is high and minimal spending is required. Constellation isn't buying distressed companies and trying to turn them around. It's buying companies that already have juicy margins and helping them to grow. There's an alignment of incentives. Leonard makes sure that the executives and managers of the companies he buys have skin in the game by giving them equity stakes. Who's going to do a better job? The girl who gets paid $100,000 plus a bonus, or the girl who watches his net worth grow as the company he oversees grows? Leonard considers incentives before making any significant moves. It's well known that he resisted taking the company public for a long time for this very reason. He was worried that the short-term focus in public markets, the loss of autonomy, and extra public scrutiny could take a toll. Here's some quotes from his letters. Mark Leonard quotes, quote, "I've traditionally traveled on economy tickets and stayed at modest hotels because I wasn't freeloading on the CSI shareholders, and I wanted to set a good example for the 1,000 of CSI employees who travel every month." Quote, "His vision was to create a permanent capital vehicle for the vertical market software industry." Another pattern. AI Partners is focused, and Railtown focusing on vertical companies. It's not ChatGPT that's horizontal across the entire internet. Where you didn't have to buy and sell a company, you could keep it forever and build a real business that lasts a lifetime. Or in our case, lasts till the next day until we hear that G-Bucks is going to go to 150. Typically, Constellation's acquisitions are small, in the 2 to 4 million range, but they add up. So when you add them all up, slip in a dose of Constellation's financial and operational discipline, you have a company with a huge market cap. Quote, we work hard to keep the early burn rate of initiatives low until we have proof of concept and market acceptance. Sometimes even getting clients to pay for the early development. We triaged initiatives earlier if our key assumption proved incorrect. Quote, we believe in small teams outperforming large teams, and so given the choice of taking a 200 business and buffing it into two smaller ones, we'd much prefer to do that and believe that the benefits are there as opposed to ramming businesses together, firing a bunch of people, and moving a bunch of work offshore. Anyway, that's that article. Here's an article on Constellation Software from SBO Financial, building an $88 billion M&A machine, the journey of Mark Leonard's Constellation Software. Well, how can you keep talking about the revenue in AIP? They only get the licensing because I can't figure out what rolling up companies means. Well, this is what Constellation did. And it's taken a while to download this story. John Ruffalo and Omer's were and their investors were the first backers of Leonard and Constellation Software with $25 million. So the concept of rolling up companies and doing it the Constellation Software way is well known by Mark Ruffalo and Dr. Tom Core and Nobrega. So they, in broad stroke, decided that, well, we've got a brand new Canada-backed wealth creation opportunity in the AI 2.0 space. There's hundreds of AI startups looking for capital, looking for expertise, looking for customers, looking to go public. We know the public markets are all askew. So why don't we take the lessons we learned by being the financial backers to Constellation Software? Why don't we start AI Partners? Why don't we start essentially an association and collect the best of the best? We'll screen them. We'll get them into our network. We will charge them money, hence the $1.5 million, $2 million that they report every month, which some people, they're but that's where you get an opportunity, because if some people can't see it, you can see it. And that gives you a chance to make money. And so these guys, they're not bringing Leonard on board. He's busy. But they're bringing the concepts and the investors and the capital and the financial know-how to start a small company. It's like an association, AAA, Association of Engineers, the Association of Candy Manufacturers, the Association of fingernail shiners. It's like an association. We'll charge a fee. That's our revenue for now. Some people can't figure out why that's a good thing. It's so small. On the other end of the spectrum, you have guys like Tony De Niro, who doesn't know what he's talking about, saying that he's worried about dilution if Railtown buys AI Partners. Well, AI Partners, it doesn't take a lot of stock or dilution to buy AI Partners. You're buying, I don't know, $1.5 million, 2 million in revenue and 3 guys in a phone. It's not that big a dilution thing. But what's the idea? Let's imitate Constellation Software in the AI space. This article's not going to come up. Now, give it a little more time. So AIP is just like setting an office up in Alexandria, Virginia, renting the bottom floor and starting the association of hot dog truck vendors and going out and getting 1,000 hot dog vendors to join the association, send them a magazine every month, and charge them a fee. That's what AIP Partners, the network, is right now. But they have a very powerful idea. Let's roll up those companies. Let's acquire those companies and bring them in to the parent company using the techniques and the strategies that Leonard used at Constellation Software and that we financed. And our investors had great experiences with. Well, how can you still keep using the numbers? I don't know how. Here, let's see if this article comes up. By the Generalist, written by Mario Gabriel. Constellation Software's superorganism. The conglomerate with 500 software companies is a unique compounder. Yeah, but I don't get how AI Partners, they just charge a fee to 160 companies. Why do you keep talking about the revenue? I can't read this article. I have to pay to read that article. But the first sentence says, I can see the first sentence. It says, this was written on April 11th, 2021, with $25 million from OMERS, that's the Ontario Municipal Employees Retirement System, and his old venture colleagues, Leonard started Constellation Software in 1995. The goal was simple to articulate. That's all I can read. Here's a PDF on the history. Constellation Software, Inc. was founded in 1995 by Mark Leonard, a former venture capitalist. He raised $25 million in capital to start. That was John Ruffalo. That was Omer's. Guess what? These are the guys starting AI Partners. Leonard observed that the most successful companies in his venture capital portfolio were vertical market software companies. That's who Railtown addresses with their Conductor product. His idea was to create a holding company that focused exclusively on acquiring these VMS businesses. Yeah, but I don't know if they're acquiring those businesses. How can you keep saying that they're going to have revenue? It's just a holding company. How can you say they're going to have revenue if they're just acquiring the businesses? I don't know. The company went public in 2006, so that decade will be skipped. And of course, it doesn't have a bloody PDF. So I'm not going to really find a story that I can share with you. Here's an article by Shiharihar Khan. Maybe I can read this because it's on LinkedIn and I think I'm signed in to my LinkedIn. The Constellation Software story, how Mark Leonard built a silent giant since 1995. Yeah, but so they've set up AIP as a network, but I don't get how can you keep talking about 400 million in revenue? They're only doing 2 million in revenue. I just don't get it. Dumayets. The Constellation Software story, how Mark Leonard built a silent giant since 1995. In 1995, deep in the quiet corridors of Toronto's tech scene, a former venture capitalist named Mark Leonard founded a software company with a simple idea. Okay, so AI Partners, you might be able to call an AI company. You might be able to call it an AI software company, even though when you talk about artificial intelligence, no one really uses the word software. But whatever, let's call it an AI company with a simple idea and an unorthodox playbook. No press tours, no product launches, no Silicon Valley BS, just one guiding principle. Buy great niche software companies, let them be. There will be an answer, let them be, and never sell. That was the birth of Constellation Software. Who gave the money? John Ruffalo, Omer's, run by Mike Norbrega. Dr. Tom Core was at his Institute of Excellence that interacted with them all. I don't know exactly how. So the blueprint: buy, hold, never fold. Yeah, but there's this stock G-Bucks. They're bringing in $212 million. Goldman Sachs brought it, and it's offshore. I can't hold. I got to get into it right away. I'm a hot money trader. I don't know what I'm doing, but I get these hot tips on Twitter and conference calls, and I've got to keep my money hopping around because I might miss out on a short squeeze, and the opportunity cost is too high to buy, hold, and go fishing. Constellation does not chase unicorns. It chased vertical market software businesses, VMS, companies that provided mission critical software to sectors like public transit, healthcare, construction, and education. These were often unglamorous but essential tools, deeply embedded in their customers' operations. Do you see an analog with AI 2.0 companies coming in to get embedded VMS style in their industries and clients? 5,000 clients to date at AMI Partners. Yeah, but I don't get how you can count the revenue. They're only getting revenue from charging magazine subscription and licensing to join the association. I just don't get how you can talk about the revenue of the underlying companies. So most of the firms purchased had high recurring revenue. Does that ring a bell? Does that ring a bell? What is the valuation that's assigned to AI companies? It's a multiple enterprise value over annual recurring revenue. So most of these firms had high recurring revenue. And the bloody guy worked with the Omers and Ruffalo venture capitalists. Do you see a model? Do you see a construct? Do you see a business plan for AIP partners? Yeah, but I don't understand. They're doing 400 million, but you're saying that when Railtown buys AIP, you're saying they're going to get that revenue, but it's not right. All they're going to get is the $1.5 million, $2 million that they charge these companies. John Ruffalo, who worked with Leonard, probably, Mike Norbrega, who worked with Leonard, probably, decided with Dr. Tom Core, Leonard had a pretty good idea going out there to roll up software companies into one company. And we financed it. We saw it work. It went from under $1 to $5,000. Now it's $3,800 Canadian. Why don't we do that? Don't you see? Canada is backing up the AI business. Canada is putting money in it, intelligence in it, schools in it, and encouraging incentives. NVIDIA has invented the Blackwell chip, whatever it's called. Data centers are being built throughout Canada. We have cheap energy up in Canada. So the computational power of memory, computers, the operational memory have taken a quantum leap. And so now there's hundreds of companies receiving money on Wall Street, teams coming to market. Why don't we take the Constellation Software model and set up our own company? And one thing we can do, because of our contacts, because of our skill, because of Canada's incubation, we could get these companies to join our network first, lock them into us. We could provide a central platform that each of these companies could cross-sell their product to the other companies in the network, and we could build the relationship. And oh, by the way, we could learn which ones have the best revenue, best growth, and best ideas. Why don't we set up the network first? Now we'll charge a fee so we have some revenue. It won't be much, but it'll keep those companies committed. But let's set up that network first, then start rolling up the companies. Constellation Software is made up of over 500 companies. Well, if we set up a network of 180 companies, we can start there. Yeah, but I don't understand why you keep mentioning the revenue of the companies when it's just a network where they're getting fees. They only have 2 million in revenue. They're not going to have 400 million in revenue. Well, I don't know. I can't. There's nobody blinder than he who just won't see. There's nobody in more pain than he who just won't pee. So most of these firms had high recurring revenue, deeply embedded workflows, loyal, sticky customers, low competition, and strong cash flows. These AI companies have huge margins, except for SoundHound. These companies were, in the case of Constellation, they were undervalued, underloved, and not built to scale, but built to last. Well, that may or may not apply here. So how did Constellation Software rise? They started with a few acquisitions, and they grew to an empire. In the first decade, Constellation made small acquisitions, measured bets, targeting strict internal return hurdles. Constellation focused on high return on invested capital, low capital intensity. Does that describe AI? Fast payback periods. Does that describe AI startups? Teams who wanted to stay on and keep running the show. Does that describe AI partners? By the early 2000s, the model was working. These micro software fortresses, that's what they called them, compounded steadily. In 2006, Constellation went public on the Toronto Stock Exchange. It raised capital, not to fund a tech moonshot, but to buy more VMS firms, more vertical market software firms, and keep doing what worked. Constellation never looked back. Kind of like Tolstoy, never looks back. Never looks at a book either. The secret weapon, decentralized capital allocation. Here is where Leonard broke from convention. Most acquirers integrate, they centralize, they rebrand, not Constellation. Each acquired company, is this the strategy AI Partners is going to use? Well, we'll find out. My guess is it is. Each acquired company kept its own brand. Each acquired company retained its own founders and culture. Each acquired company operated autonomously. Each acquired company allocated its own capital. Each acquired company was responsible for its own success. Constellation built a decentralized machine, a network. A network? That sounds like AIP. They built a network? Yeah, but how are they including the revenue? The problem is you're trying to reconcile that Railtown sells for 43 cents. If it's so good, why is the stock 43 cents? Because your stubborn brain has been taught by Wall Street, the random walk down Wall Street theory, that all you need to know is in the price of the stock. And you can just look at some charts and trade like Tolstoy. Hey, it looks like it's going to run. Zip, zip, get out. I never look back. Only talk about the winners. Well, I guess that's fine if you're a trader. I'm not impressed by any of your trading. Even Tolstoy King only comes on after a stock is up. I'm not impressed. I haven't seen a single system out there that works. I think that one guy was pretty good. He used to follow charts, and he used an expression. He used spot for the decimal point. He did a good job. Right now I'm having a hard time. His calls were pretty good. But that's day trading. It's day trading. That's work. Constellation built a decentralized machine, a network of over 800 VMS firms grouped into 6 operating units, all learning from each other, but operating independently. Is this a blueprint for how AIP is going to operate? Yeah, but when Railtown buys them, they only have $2 million in revenue. I don't understand why you keep mentioning bigger revenue numbers. The numbers as of 2024, Constellation Software has outperformed Google, outperformed Amazon, and outperformed Microsoft in shareholder returns over the last 2 decades as of 2024, without raising headlines or debt-fueled growth. Debt-fueled growth, by the way, is energy vault. But some people are good at it. The story of Constellation Software isn't just software. Lessons for rollup strategists. Constellation Software is a masterclass in how to build a scalable, acquisition-driven empire without chouse, without chaos, culture clash, or capital waste. Is this a blueprint for AI partners? Yeah, but I just don't understand. They're only doing revenue by charging the companies to be a part of the network. I don't know why you keep bringing up that the combined company. For roll-up CEOs, roll-up investors, and roll-up acquirers, here are 5 enduring lessons. Do you think this is going to be a guidebook for AIP partners? Focus on niches. Target specialized businesses with high switching costs and loyal customer bases. The rishis are in the niches. The riches are in the niches. The beaches are at the beaches. 2, decentralize to scale. Empower operations. Push capital allocation down the organization chart. Control doesn't require centralization. 3, prioritize cash, not hype. Free cash flow, revenue growth, return on investment greater than vanity metrics. Buy businesses that self-fund and compound. 4, build to hold. Yeah, but Lion of all trades has a stock I got to participate in. I got to move money over there. I can't just all be in one stock. I've got to get over there. And there's another stock over there. And there's one over there that's going to, and this one, there's a billionaire coming into it. And they're putting a bunch of gold, and it's got AI, it's got Bitcoin, it's got biotech. And it gets the weekends off. I got to get into that stock. How can I just hold? Are you telling me I can make money by holding a stock? Build to hold, not to flip. A roll-up should be a long-term compounding engine. Do you think AIP is designed to be a long-term compounding engine? But I'll miss out on all the opportunities to trade with Tolstoy King. A roll-up should be a long-term compounding engine, not a short-term arbitrage game. Number 5, institutionalize discipline. Create internal merger and acquisition teams. Return on investment targets and incentive systems. Make capital allocation a repeatable craft. Roll-up successes or roll-up success doesn't come from the number of deals. It comes from the quality of systems, the patience of capital, and the integrity of incentives. That's that article. This is from Constellation Software's website. They talk about themselves. Here's the overview. Constellation Software is an international provider of market-leading software and services to a number of industries. Could you imagine AIP Partners is an international provider of market-leading AI-driven, for lack of a better term, software and services to a number of industries. Our mission is to acquire, manage, and build market-leading software businesses that develop specialized, mission-critical software solutions to address the specific needs of our particular industries. Could you imagine those words being superimposed on AIP's mission statement? Yeah, but they just get revenue from subscription. That revenue belongs to the companies. You keep mentioning that revenue. Our company was founded in 1995 to assemble a portfolio of vertical market software companies. So let's do it again. Imagine if this sentence was AIP Partners being bought by Railtown. So imagine if this appeared on their website. Our company, Railtown/AIP Partners, was founded in 2024 to assemble a portfolio of vertical market software companies that have the potential to be leaders in their particular market. Since then, we have grown rapidly through a combination of acquisitions and organic growth, and we have established a strong constellation of companies with a large, diverse customer base. We have 6 operating groups, fill in whatever they do, which currently service customers in over 100, whatever the number is, different markets worldwide. We are headquartered in Toronto, Canada, and have offices in North America, Europe, Australia, South America, and Africa. We have over 50,000 employees, whatever the number will be, generating consolidated revenue exceeding $6 billion. Yeah, but I thought I had to flip the stock to get rich. Flip it, never look back. You're telling me if I'm 40 years old and I own a company that is compounding revenue and growing, it could just get valuable over 2 decades and I don't have to flip stocks? Maybe this is the one. Here's an interview on their website with their CEO, Dr. Tom Core. Here's our CEO's perspective on AI. An interview with Dr. Tom Core, co-founder and CEO of AI Partnerships, a network at the time of the interview, a network of 125 plus AI solution providers. With AI being adopted at an astounding rate, CEOs need to consider whether AI enterprise technology is a viable option for their company, product, or service roadmaps. If they already know it is, then there has never been a better time to buy an Oriental rug. There has never been a better time to start developing long-term strategies. AI, by its very nature, is disruptive. Therefore, AI may threaten your current market share. If your direct competitors are investing in AI to meet their long-term goals, there is a strong probability your company may be left in the dust. If you do survive, you may be following in their footprints forever. Basically, by the time you make a decision about AI, it might be too late. To help CEOs understand this disruptive technology and think about the possibilities of AI adoption, we sat down with Dr. Tom Core, CEO of AI Partnerships, who has established a network of 125 companies in AI and emerging technology. This interview was given a while ago, hence the difference in numbers. Along with his team, Dr. Core constantly engages with these companies and therefore has firsthand access to the technology entering the market, insights on companies currently investing in AI, and the challenges that currently exist in AI adoption. In other words, please be true. In other words, I love you. In other words, he has a unique opportunity to see what's happening, both from the sellers and buyers' perspectives. He has front row seats to the AI show. Question, Tom. May I call you Tom, or do you like to be referred to as Doctor? Tom, you have been full-time in the AI space for 3 years now and worked with 125 companies in the space. What have been the key takeaways so far? Can I get a job like this? I guess you can just be a moron to give interviews. Answer from Dr. Tom Core. Answer. One of the key takeaways has been that the COVID crisis has provided well-documented, important lessons for business leaders. For example, among the most compelling lessons is the potential that data analytics and artificial intelligence bring to the table. During the pandemic, Frito-Lay ramped up its digital and data-driven initiatives, compressing 5 years' worth of digital plans into 6 months. Launching a direct-to-consumer business was always on our roadmap, but we certainly hadn't planned on launching it in 30 days in the middle of the pandemic, said their chief growth officer, Michael Lindsay. The pandemic inspired our teams to move more quickly than we would have dreamed possible. That was Michael Lindsay. Now it's Dr. Tom Core. The crisis accelerated the adoption of analytics and AI, and this momentum will continue into the 2020s. 52% of companies accelerated their AI adoption plans because of the crisis, a study by PwC found. 86% said that AI is becoming a mainstream technology at their company in 2021. A Harris poll found that 55% of companies reported they had accelerated their AI strategy in 2020 because of you know. And 67% expected to further accelerate their AI strategy in the 2020s. Question, here comes the genius. Question, what areas have been most active in AI adoption? Answer, AI and analytics became critical to enterprises in 2020. Business leaders understand firsthand the power and potential of analytics and AI in their businesses. They know they need to build a data foundation, taking AI data sets and putting them into insights and insights engine using all the algorithms. This is a new experience for many. AI is instrumental in AI is instrumental in alleviating skill shortages. People worry about AI stealing jobs, but ironically, there's a pressing need to develop AI and analytics to compensate for shortages of skilled labor. AI and analytics are boosting productivity. The fast-growing cloud computing market has made these innovations accessible to smaller firms. AI and analytics are delivering new products, allowing us to reset public offerings all the way down to the individual business unit. AI and analytics are addressing supply chain issues by helping companies predict, prepare, and see issues that may disrupt their supply chain in advance. AI is fueling startups while helping companies manage disruption. Question, if you were the CEO of a manufacturing company, what would you look to gain from AI adoption? Did you stay up all night thinking of these questions? Answer, although it's easy to think that artificial intelligence is a thing of the future, AI is already being implemented across the manufacturing industry. All-in manufacturing allows companies to improve demand forecasting and ensure that they are accurately ramping up and down production as necessary. BMW uses machine learning models to evaluate images of components on the production line to pinpoint any deviation from standards in real time. Another company actively utilizing AI is Caterpillar. They report that their marine division saves up to $400,000 per ship per year using big data to determine how often the hulls should be cleaned in order to maximize efficiency. The implementation of AI in manufacturing is complex and requires a commitment of many parts of the organization. The first step to implementing AI into your manufacturing process is to partner with an experienced vendor to help you analyze your current compute resources and existing data. The data you already have will be used as a baseline, and it will be processed through ML models to determine what trends can be identified. If you want your manufacturing AI implementation to be truly successful, there must be a specific and measurable problem which you were trying to solve. There also must be data available regarding the problem and a commitment to adopt the right tools. Question, what would you tell a CEO of a manufacturing company that's on the fence about AI? Answer, I would tell them that the primary focus of AI in manufacturing is limiting downtime and ensuring that production lines continue to operate effectively. This is one of the best use cases that we are seeing from AI being applied in the manufacturing industry. It will become the primary benefit of AI adoption. All right, let's skip this nightmare interview. Okay. I mean, here's some of the companies. We can try to see what their revenues are. Yeah, but those revenues belong to those companies. They won't belong to AIP when Railtown buys AIP. I can't help you understand it. I can try, but I'm not going to be good at it. All right, so here's a company, Cartesian Theater. Let's see if AI knows what is the revenue for Cartesian Theater. It's probably not. It's probably not reported, but let's see. Cartesian Theater revenues. Cartesian Therapeutics, that's not it. Dun and Bradstreet, Cartesian Theater Corp., British Columbia. Revenue, under lock and key. You have to pay for that answer. And the most common answer is for Cartesian Therapeutics. Okay. So let's go to Cartesian Theater website. Let's go to Cartesian Theater's presentation. Cartesian. All right, so we're not going to get any answer on what Cartesian Theater is doing in revenues. Let's look up Talos. TALOS AI. Talos AI revenues. There are several companies named Talos. It might be 18 million, but I'm not sure that's the correct company. How Talos hit 27 million in revenue with a 207 person team. Talos has bootstrapped. Let's see if that's the correct company. Can't tell. Okay, we're not going to get anywhere with that one. How about AI? Greeter AI. Greeter AI. Greeter.ai. Greeter.ai revenues. Greeter AI revenues. Estimated annual revenue, 14.6 million per year. All right, so we got one. Let's keep going till we can get to, maybe we can get to a number that I can explain how this works. All right, AI Valley. A.I.Valley. I often dally in the valley. All right, so A dot I dot valley revenues. These are just from their website. These are the first four of their companies in their network that popped up on their website. The artificial intelligence company AI Valley in 2023 generated $146,000 in revenue. Okay, well, it's not very much, but we'll write it down. 146,800 in revenue. All right, that's not very exciting. Guess that's one of the smaller ones. Odesso. O-D-E-S-S-O. Odesso. I'll write down AI revenues. The term Odesso likely refers to Adesso SE, a German IT company, or a smaller startup called Odesso, which focuses on AI automation, with revenue of 5.9 million. That's the one. 5.9 million in revenue. This is unaudited. I'm just Googling them, letting AI find it. it's going to be inexact, but out of the first 4 companies, I've found 20 million in revenue. Yeah, but how can you count that if Railtown buys AIP? They're only getting the fees that the companies pay to be a member of the network. They're not getting that revenue. All right, let's just get a list of a few here. See if I can explain it. Gradient ascent. Gradient ascent revenue. Gradient ascent AI revenue. In 2024, Gradient Ascent AI had revenue of 456,000. So that's not very exciting. 456,000. It could be growing rapidly. We don't know. All right, how about Laris? Laris Technologies. LARUS Technologies. Laris Technologies careers. Maybe I'll just go work for them and quit doing this. Revenue. Lars Technologies revenue is under 5 million on Zoom Info. And on Lead IQ, it's in the range of 10 million. Let's just use 5 million, even though it's probably wrong. All right, let's go to the next one. Cerebri. All right, Cerebri AI. CEREBRI AI revenue. Cerebi AI's reported revenue was 3.8 million in 2024. All right, let's use that. 3.8 million. I'm not using the years. I know some of you want literal things. I'm just trying to give you an example. How about Mia? And Hopera. And AI Innovate. And Nugget AI. And Factor. And Ascend Advisors. right, two more. I'm just going to do two more. Smart Screen AI. Acure AI. Right, these are, whatever these have is what we're going to use. All right, so Maya, MEYA AI revenue. They are giving me an answer for Meta. I don't want that answer. Mia AI's revenue was reported to be 990,000 in 2025. 990,000 in 2025. All right, let's do Hopera. HOPARA AI revenue. As of 23, the artificial intelligence company Hopera had annual revenue of less than 5 million, funding of 842,000. Investors Boston Seed Capital. Founded in 2014 by Turing Prize winner and MIT professor Mike Stonebreaker. It develops data visualization applications to improve decision making. So it's less than 5 million. And the company has raised 5.18 million. They don't give the valuation number. They don't give the cap table. So I might not be able to get a number here. Here. Hopera hit 3.4 million in revenue. So it's 3,400,000. And then there's AI Innovate. AI Innovate revenues. Two days ago, 2 trillion in new revenue needed to fund AI scaling trend. But that wasn't here, AI Innovate. They raised $30,000. Revenue not disclosed, not available. All right, so here's a company called Atrium AI. Review of our journey toward $1 billion. All right, that one, I don't know. So let's go to Nugget AI. Revenue. Less than 5 million, so that doesn't tell us anything. Here, revenue of 560,000. All right, factor. Factor AI. Factor hit 440,000 in revenue. All right, let's go to Ascend. Advisors. I guess AI revenue. $1 to $5 million. $100 million revenue mark, but I don't think that's the correct company. This might be a bigger company. I'm just going to put $1 million down because it says 1 to 5 million, but it could be a whole lot bigger. And that might be wrong, but anyway, I'm just trying to show you. Smart Screen AI revenue. Less than 5 million. Smart Screen AI. I can't get a revenue number for it. Let me just see. All right, don't know the answer. And how about a cure? A cure AI did 19.7 million in revenue. All right, that's enough of those companies. So let me just put the number down. I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Now I need to show you where I got them because otherwise somebody's going to say, I don't understand where you're getting these. All right, here's on AI Partnerships Corp. AI Partnerships Corp. I took these affiliates. I just took the first 16 of them. I just took the first 16 affiliates that came on their website. I could have kept going. They have 180 of them. I just took the first 16. And then Yeah, my pens are running out of use. There we go. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So out of the 16, I was able to Google revenue on 12 companies. And this one, I just took the low end of the range. I don't know if it's accurate. It could be way off. The number could be much higher, but we don't know. This is just an example. I took the first 16 companies, I Googled for revenue, and I could only get 12 answers. All right, so let's use those 12 answers. Well, I'll give you the total of those 12. 19,700,000 is the biggest. I mean, this is not audited, but it's just to give you the idea of what's going on. And there's enough examples that it's hard to cheat. And it's random, equally hard to cheat. So those 12 companies, if I did the arithmetic correctly, which I think I did, add up to 55,992,800 in revenue. So I took 16, they were the first ones of their affiliates. I could only get 12 revenue amounts on Google, and it added up to almost $56 million in revenue. Well, how can you count that $56 million if Railtown's buying AIP? The only amount of revenue that AIP is doing is collecting the annual fees from each of those companies. How can you add in those dollars? A better question would be, how many shares is Railtown AI going to have to issue to acquire 56 million in revenue? How many shares? Well, if it were just AIP with 3 guys on a phone and 2 million in annual revenue, they'd have to issue a hell of a lot of shares. They'd have a hard time, just like Logic did, they'd have a hard time getting past the first company with 19,700,000 in revenue. So, ironically, because Railtown has the Conductor asset, which is self-pronounced, and I have no reason to disbelieve it, as the first to market, best in class, battle tested, already generating revenue, and proprietary, and working sort of supra over all industries. It's possible that Railtown, because of Conductor, is in a better position to negotiate with all these companies about acquiring them, to do it on a basis that is more favorable to us as shareholders, but also to the principals at AI Partners and the principals at Railtown. So ironically, the fact that AIP is small, on the one hand, means that Railtown's acquisition of AIP does not have to be dilutive for what they're getting. And then, because of Railtown's heft, the further acquisition roll-up of these companies, which one gentleman can't understand, but I tried to take you through how Constellation Software did it. They're going to be able to roll these companies up at more favorable terms than if they were just a tiny company. Now they're going to be aligned with some heft. And as long as the salesmanship, I wouldn't bring up Paris. It's not good salesmanship. As long as the salesmanship is good, it should be all to our benefit. All right. So this is 12 out of 16 companies. Remember, they have 180 companies. I just took the first 16 I saw, and you watched me Google. I know it was boring, but you saw it. I wasn't creating anything. So you've got 55,992,000. I don't know how they're going to acquire these. One thing that I did in my calculations is I assumed that the acquisition net, in other words, the deal they made with the companies, maybe they put up the capital, they put up the brain power, they put up the network, and the principals stay in place at the companies, and they get their salary, they get all the money they need, and maybe they retain, we'll find out, 35% of the revenue. But what I did when I was doing my calculations, I just did it 50-50. Let's say that when Railtown/AI rolls up these companies, that the deal is either you roll up with us, we'll cover all costs, you get to keep half the revenues, or we're going to issue shares to acquire you, but it's going to net out on that kind of 50-50 basis to our position now. So I take the 55,992,000, I'll divide it by 2. So that leaves revenue from these 12 companies, depending on the negotiation, net to we as shareholders of Railtown AI of 27,996,000. Well, what multiple should be put on that? What we don't know, how rapidly are these revenues growing? We don't know the margins on these revenues. We don't know, because they're in different industries, we don't know if the multiples assigned to the revenues are different than others. So what do we know about the range of multiple valuations? It goes all the way up to 205 times times revenue. We saw in the past as low as 12 or 13x in the past, looking backwards. And we played with some stocks yesterday that may or may not have been AI, so I'm going to ignore those. They may have had a little bit of AI, but we don't know the total makeup. So what multiple should I use here? I don't think I'm going to use 12. I don't think I'm going to use 200. Good, we got those out of the way. So then we go from 25x all the way up to 150x. I'm not going to use 150. I'm not going to use 100x. I'm not going to use 75x. Should I use 25 or should I use 50x? I'll use 25x. So 25 times half these revenues would give a valuation to our shares after they roll up these 12 companies, and net, it's worth 50% of the revenues to us right now at a 25 multiple, and assume they don't issue a lot of stock. So I'll divide that by 200 million shares. That little collection right there might be worth $3.50 a share to us. And that, my friends, was looking at 16 companies out of 180. Do you see how the revenue, when Railtown buys AI Partners currently is just an association that has something like 2 million in revenue. It's a network of 180 companies. But that 180 companies are meant, the best of them are going to experience an aggressive roll-up program, probably very similar to what John Ruffalo, Mike Nobrega, and Dr. Tom Core and others experienced as they were associated and the original investors, prime movers at Constellation Software. Just 16 out of 180 maybe give you $3.50 a share once they're rolled up into the new Railtown AI combo. And like I say, I took 16 companies, only 12 of them could I find any revenue. It came out to 56 million in revenue. I took half of that, saying we net out half of that, and I multiplied it by a 25 multiple, divided it by 200 million shares, which is more than the shares are right now. I came up with $3.50 just from looking at 16 companies, looking at 5% of the companies. I don't want to bore you and go down every single company and Google it. That might be something Brandon can do to keep busy. But that's how AI Partners brings value to this combo. They are a network of 180 companies, whereas Constellation Software, they didn't have that network. They had to create it one company at a time by rolling companies up. What AIP is starting with is the network, and then they're going to select the best ones to roll up, whatever their criteria is, initially. First step is for Railtown to acquire AIP, which doesn't have very much revenue. Second step is to use the heft and the power of the Conductor future and revenues as a ballast in negotiations with each of these companies so you can strike the best deal possible for shareholders. First step, Railtown buys AIP. It's not very dilutive. Second step, Railtown takes over the business model and the plan of AIP to take their network of 180 companies and aggressively roll up the cream of the crop as quickly as possible, thereby adding revenues to the combined company. That's why I use those revenues in my example. And remember, when I use my example, I talk about 2026 going forward. So in other words, you could say, how about by the end of the first quarter, what is the projected revenue from the roll-ups for the next 12 months? And what is the projected revenue from Conductor for the next 12 months? I just showed you 55 million from 12 companies. I took half, but could you conceptualize with me that by the end of the first quarter, they roll up 100 million net revenue to us, 100 million on the AIP network side? And could you accept as a premise that Conductor is so good that it might be the reason that the documents aren't finished, because Conductor is going gangbusters? I'm making an assumption. I could be wrong. But the paperwork could be delayed because the lawyers are liars. It could be delayed because the attorneys are incompetent. It could be delayed because the attorneys are working on something else. It could be delayed because the attorneys are in on a scam with me in the shorts. It could be delayed because the regulators, in contraposition to the entire Canadian government, are dragging their feet on AI. I think all of that is unlikely. And if it's delayed because the deal's fallen apart, we'd already know that. And the stock, by the way, would be 20, maybe 15 cents. So I think we can just throw away all that pessimism, all that nattering, all of that nabobs of negativism. We just throw it away. What's another reason that it could be delayed? Business is good. AI's in the middle of a frenzy. We saw with Windrift that as soon as the one deal fell apart, two competing companies came and ripped it all asunder. So they paid billions just for some of the talent, and then they paid billions for the rump of the company. Things are moving and happening. It is possible that the reason for these delays is because things are going so well. You're a hooker. I thought I was doing so well. So if you assume with me that Conductor from October, November, December, January, February, March, 6 months of salesmanship, 6 months of doors open for customers, 6 months of this is the best darn thing we've ever seen. 6 months of addressing a $300 billion market a year, a $300 billion annual spend by the best product on the market, battle tested and proprietary. And first. Could we make the assumption that Conductor is able, in 6 months, to lock down enough business that for the next 12 months, the projection will be 100 million in revenue? And then I just showed you with 12 companies, 16 actually, but I could only find revenue on 12. I just showed you 55 million that could be rolled up. Let's take half of that. That's 23 million. Can we assume that's 12 companies, 23 million, half of the revenue, 23 million for 12 companies. Can you and I just make an assumption out of 180 companies? They could find 50 companies over the next 6 months to lock them up, to roll them up. So the next 12 months is 100 million in revenue. But I don't understand that. How? I can't help you. So AIP at the end of the first quarter, in its little division, as you look forward, will have 100 million revenue. That, depending on how you look at it, is a quarter or a half of the revenue available to roll up. Just 100 million. And then Conductor gets 100 million. That's 200 million. 200 million. 200 million in the next 12 months of revenue at the end of first quarter. How much revenue does SoundHound earn? SoundHound is projected this year, 2025, to do between 157 million to 177 million in revenue. Now, I know I'm mixing things. I know that you don't. How do you know at the end of the first quarter that the multiples will be the same? How do you know that that SoundHound's projected revenues for next year aren't much? We don't know any of this stuff. But I'm trying to give you a flavor of what brighter minds than mine will be looking at once the documents are available after the news and news and news and updates and research and more news and updates and all of it after the attorneys finish their work. So SoundHound, 157 to 177 million, and they're losing money. SoundHound is losing money. It's my understanding that in this network and in Conductor, there's profits galore, there's margin galore. But we don't have to worry about, do they have higher margin? SoundHound has no margin. They're losing money. So let's assume that Railtown AIP does 200 million and they don't make a dime, which is ridiculous. But let's just 200 million versus 177 million. What is SoundHound's market cap? What's the SoundHound market cap right now? It's down today. It's down $1.43 today. So the market cap is 6.66 billion. 6.66 billion. 6,668,000. Well, I didn't say that correctly. 6,668,000,000 is what the market cap is. We'll divide it by 200 million shares, which it would, we don't know this, but it's a reasonable assumption, Railtown/AI. That, my friends, is a $33 target in 6 months. If Railtown/AI, on the AI side, they can roll up net to us 100 million in forward revenue, and Conductor can lock down 100 million in forward revenue, and they don't make any money on it, so it doesn't get a gigantic multiple, although it seems like a pretty high multiple, and we compare it to SoundHound, an AI company doing similar revenue. Yes, you're right. It's only one company. Maybe I should get a basket of companies. I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to compare it to SoundHound. That's a $33 stock. Now, what if they can roll up 200 million, 250 million going forward? And what if Conductor really catches fire and they do 250 million? And we have a company doing forward 500 million in revenue. The mind expands, the mind trembles. And so you've got a stock here at 43 cents, and you give more credit to the stock price than to the story that's right in front of your eyes. I didn't make up those revenues. I'll admit, Googling revenues is probably not the best way to get the data, but I didn't make them up. You can do it yourself. And you know they're going to roll up those revenues, even though one of you doesn't understand how it works. They are going to roll up revenues. It's in the press release. Conductor is a fantastic product. It's going to have revenues. What's the number? We don't know. That's what we're waiting for. What could it be? I think 200 million is conservative. Remember, I'm saying, just so you understand what I'm projecting, I'm saying it takes the next 6 months to create revenue that's visible for the following 12 months. That's what I'm pointing out. Because in the AI space, the valuation is on the following 12 months. And that's where you get your multiple. But you're looking at the stock at 43 cents and you're saying, why aren't they saying anything? Oh my gosh. And look, G-Bucks is up a penny and I better rush over there. I'm not going to buy anymore. Something's wrong. Tolstoy said there's another stock to buy. I don't know. I don't know what to do. Guys, the information is right in front of your faces. Bigger than your schnoz. Railtown is one of the best products out there for AI software development. that I know of, but I don't know them all. That's true. Don't know them all. They've been working on it for 6 years. It's a 300 billion market. If you take 100 million and you divide it by 300 billion, it's 0.0003%, 0.0003.3% penetration. And you're looking at the stock price and you're saying, oh, the stock price is telling me something. This stock price is saying something's wrong. I can't. I hear you, but look, the price. The price is now 42 cents. I hear what you're saying. Yes, when you go to the website, when you go to LinkedIn, AI Partners now has 180 affiliate companies, and just a random check, 12 of the companies are doing almost 60 million in revenue. I hear you, but the stock price. I mean, if you're pointing out valid information, why is the stock price so low? That's what your brain is telling you. You can't get away from it. That's why you're not buying stock. What's your downside? I can't find that shitty report. Oh, this is one of the pages of the research report. This report. Without AI partners, and before the multiples increased, and before everything hotted up, their target is $2. There's no risk in this application of capital in the bubble of speculative capital. I mean, there's always risk. There's always unknowns. But I really don't see why you're hesitating to buy more, buy it all, buy. The reason the stock price is under 50 cents is that the people that know what the heck they're talking about can't buy it. The people that have the money to buy it can't buy it. And the day shorts are just trying to nip you, steal your money while you're scared. The swing shorts do the same thing with a little bit more of a time horizon. And there's some stuck shorts. 50 million shares, maybe 60 million shares were sold short. But you don't see that. Your brain just can't process it. So let me understand what you're saying. There's 60 million fake shares, so that means the supply. I mean, if you were at the deli counter and you were buying beef and it cost you $21 a pound, and a guy set up a stall next, let's say you're in a marketplace, and a guy set up a stall, brand new stall, and he got one of those computers that can make things out of nothing. There's a name for them. And he just started mimeographing beef. And as he's Xeroxing fake beef, making beef out of his computer, he drives the price from $21 a pound down to $2 a pound. You could understand that. You're standing at the market. You see the organic beef cut in front of your face by the butcher who's been there for 30 years and runs an honest business. And right next to the butcher, a bench draws up with a computer and they make beef out of their computer. There's a name for it, I forget it. And they just do it. They just keep selling pounds and pounds and pounds. They start with $21 and then they lower it to 20, they lower it to 19, they lower it to 18, lower it to 17, and it doesn't cost them anything. They're just printing it out of their computer. You would understand that, and you'd be standing there and you'd say, well, that price of beef, the butcher's lowering it. He has no choice but to match that price. I'm going to buy that beef. I can buy that $21 a pound beef now at $2 from the real guy because he's got to sell his beef. He can't take it home with him. And this guy's destroying the price by creating shares that beef that doesn't really exist. It's illegal, but no one at the market's coming to kick him out. It tastes like beef, just gives you diarrhea 3 days later or something. But you'd understand that. You don't understand it in the market. 60 million shares sold, and there's more to come if need be, because no one polices it. No one goes to jail, and they drive it down. In that same marketplace, if you had Capital Grill come in looking to buy slabs of beef for their customers that night because they had a electric problem. Well, Capital Grill's not going to buy that fake beef. They're going to bid it up. They're going to get all they can at the real butcher. That drives the price back up. But Capital Grill is still at the store. They're not here yet. They're still trying to put out the electric fire. So for a day, for Friday, Saturday, they're not in there buying. So you have the combination of a guy printing from his computer fake steaks. And you have the butcher who has to sell all his steak. He can't take it back to his farm. So the price starts coming down. The main buyer, Capital Grill, isn't there because Capital Grill is trying to put out the electric fire and keep their facility open. So for 2 days, they're not buying and the price is down. You would recognize that you can buy that steak and put it in your freezer and your wife is going to love you. But you can't see it. You just can't see it in the stock market because you've been brainwashed to believe that the stock tells you all you need to know. All right, let's look at how the market closed. Railtown closed down, I don't know, 0.003 at 42.5. It says it's 105,000 shares. A bunch of 500 shares was the last trade that I see. But they had a series of them. It went at 10:30 this morning, it was 1,500 shares. At 12:44, it was 500 shares. At 3:50, it was 1,500 shares. At 3:50, it was 500 shares. And then at 350 was 500 shares, 348. GDC's in the green in the aftermarket. It's at 504. GDC closed down 70 cents at 497. I had them just where I wanted them. Would you believe a German Shepherd and a Boy Scout? Finger closed at 162. G-Bucks closed up at 43.6. The markets were down today, and I think that's for the reason I told you. When you have a strong economy, people were going to wonder if the Fed's going to cut rates. All right, I'm going to go through your comments, and I want to try to get to FedEx before it closes. So if I don't answer everything, if I speed through some of it, my apologies. Hey, Donna M. I saw your total yesterday. And I can tell what your goal is. But if I'm right, you're going to have a good retirement. You're going to have enough. So we're going to have to change our automatic thoughts, our electricity from we got to trade to just being content with what's going to be enough. We'll have to protect it, and we'll have to diversify some things like silver. But good job, Donna. Hey, Chestnut, good day. Good day. Hey, John Croissant. Sunny California. I was there. It wasn't always sunny, but when it is sunny, it's beautiful. Hey, John. Yeah, we'll talk gold, silver, platinum. Not tonight. I mean, it might come up. It might come up, but I gotta try to get to FedEx. But anyway, let's see how quickly I can go. DMAC, greetings to you as well. Julius Quam, Fortune Cookie says it's coming soon. You didn't read your fortune, huh? It says you're shit out of luck. Hey, Eric Belanger from Montreal. I hope you went to the all-in event. Eric Belanger, a friend, go to all-in yesterday. Talked with the guys at Rail. He saw the rail track and conductor product demo and was very impressed. Maybe Echo Design. That's great information, Eric Belanger. That's awesome information. He said he was very impressed. Awesome. Hey, Fast Eddie. Hey, Jim. Hey, hello, account settings. I read somewhere there are 6,000 attendees at All-In AI in Montreal. Maybe that gets some buying. Well, I think you make a really good point that, and we don't know, unfortunately. I don't know what to call it. So I'll just describe it. from February 11th, 2025, all the way through today, in some mixture of signed non-disclosure agreements, individually and organization-wide, and the regulation that if you are an insider or if you can be presumed to know or thought to know material, non-public information, you can't buy the stock. During that time, maybe the company's in negotiations, maybe the company's seeking signatures, maybe there's votes they have to get, but the company also cannot give snippets of information here or there. They are bound by making sure that the information they have is released in a full, fair, and complete way all at once to everybody interested. So I want to say October, you can look it up, the company has been out at the various conferences, the one in BC, there's a couple of others, I can't remember all the names. They've been out selling their product. They've been pitching their story. They've been saying, hey, Conductor's the best thing since I don't know what, since freeze-dried coffee. And my point being, account settings, they are probably getting a lot of orders. We don't know that. We don't know that. But if you can assume, in this gentleman, Eric Belanger's friends said they were very impressed with Railtrack and Conductor. If we assume it's a good product and it answers the need, and it might be the only one available, your point's well taken. They may be selling this product to a lot of companies and developers, and that news is building up. Now, if you have material news, you got to release it. On the other hand, in Canada, when I Googled it, there may be an exception granted if by releasing news you affect your long-term shareholder prospects and value. And we don't know. We're just floundering, trying to come up, I am anyway, with explanations. But I think your instinct's correct. If this is a great product, they're getting orders, and those orders are starting to build up. We don't know about them, but that doesn't mean it's not happening. And that doesn't mean you should not. This is when to buy. This is the inefficiency of the marketplace. When you know something, you got to act on it, unless you don't think you know. Good morning, Jack. Yeah, I see the shills haven't been blocked. If nothing else, it means we're still on the right track. I agree, Jack. And Jack says hi to Donna. Jack says, I believe somebody said shills get paid by the message. Somebody must be in overtime. Donna says, good afternoon, Jack. Hey, Steve. Please block the shills. All right, somebody acted. Somebody acted. But 630 is not going to get us. But I love it, Steve. I think it's great. I love it. I love it. I think it's awesome. And 42 cents is a great price. Hey, Clay Schoolfield. Still waiting on news. That's true. But, the waiting is giving people who can absorb. I mean, it's probabilities, of course. It's not definite, but it's a high probability here. I'd say well over 80% of the outcomes I talk about. The outcomes that are nearer and lower in price, nearer in time and lower in price, those are probably more likely to happen. As I go out further and increase the price, there's a lot of assumptions I'm making, and we need the news flow to guide us on that. But I think they're all very, actually, I think they're conservative if everything works out. But yeah, we need it. I agree with you. We're waiting on news. But I've kind of in my mind just assumed it'll be October, which isn't too far away. But what I think people should do, and everybody can do it themselves. You can do it with a pad of paper. You can Google different things. You can go to the AIP partnerships, see their AI companies. I just did it in front of you, but you can do it yourself. You can get that long list, 180 companies, and you can go see what the revenues are there. You can go check the news story on February 11th that talks about how they're going to aggressively roll up, I think they said, acquisition mandate. But it's right there. So if you allow the facts to guide your decision, not the fear, not the price, the opportunity is enormous here to change your financial account. Wow, good for you, Clay. That's a nice number, Clay. I'm yellows. I'm very yellows. I'm going to see what Clay will have. 222150. What was the number I just 33? Let's see what you'd have at 33. Ooh, Clay. It's a big number. It's a good job. It's a good job, Clay. Jack Hamilton, Clay, that's impressive. Original Plankster. See what he's saying. Mark Leonard resigned for health reasons. Yeah, I saw some news. I didn't read what it said. Well, then that's also the reason the stock is down. But I'm not trying to get people to buy Constellation Software. But he's an older guy, so these things happen. I pray for him. I'll have to follow up. I hope he's well. I hope he can recover. Mark Miller at Constellation Software has been appointed president. That's probably good. Jack Hamilton, I dipped further into the car fund. Yay, Jack! You are now 78,473. Let me multiply that by 33. I'm not promising it. It's just what we got to have. We got to have our goals. We got to have our goals to keep us engaged. If it does what I just suggested by the end of the first quarter, it's possible you'll have $2.5 million. It's pretty nice. Pretty nice. But let's take it one step at a time. Let's not get out ahead of our skis. I talk about the bigger numbers and the bigger vision, partly to explain why I'm so adamant, but also to try to get you thinking in terms of 6 months, 9 months, 18 months, rather than 18 minutes or whatever these these fudsters. That's what I was looking for. Plankster says Mark Leonard resigned as president for health reason, prompting an analyst downgrade. Analysts are always wrong. I would guess that it's a good time to buy that stock. I mean, obviously, when it's down that much, there'll be more, but it's too expensive for me. But that's one heck of a stock. And the cash flows aren't going to change just because he's resigned. The revenues aren't going to change either. And I'm sure Mark Miller will follow on the same culture. So that might be an opportunity. Thank you, Original Plankster. Hey, Giuseppe. Cornhole is the same guy as Pukey. Yeah. Thank you, Giuseppe. Giuseppe Ingrano. Cornhole, your advisors are your advice, I guess, advisories, sorry, are unintelligent, insulting, and uninteresting. Giuseppe, I'm not getting angry. Just hope William gives you no time or energy. YouTube user, Jimbo Baggins, Capricorn Hole. If you are unhappy, you can leave anytime. Jimbo Baggins, if unhappy about Railtown, why are you here just to spread FUD? Northeast Iowa. Analysts are I know, damn it. Here's my thoughts quickly on silver. As you know, I've been predicting silver of $120 for the last, I don't know, year and a quarter, year and a half, something like that. Maybe less than that. I don't know. It's been a while. I've been saying it'll go to 120. That's number one. Number two, it's going to go without me, which is very frustrating. I was telling investors to buy it, that I hope to be able to buy it in the 20s. And so now it sounds like Me Tooism, jump on it. What I'm noticing about all the talk, it's stuff I've talked about for 20 years. And now everybody's talking about it. It's everywhere. The debt problem, the dollar, XRP, gold, silver, everybody's talking about it. I can't see how. I cannot see how, but that usually, you got to start looking and saying, you know what, there might be a pullback here, and there could be, but maybe not either. See, sometimes the group has enough to keep it going. So it makes me a little antsy that when everybody's talking about it, that you could get a sharp pullback because it's all manipulated. But I think when silver, Northeast Iowa, silver in, I think 1981, might have been 80 or 82, right around 1982. Anyway, right in there, when the Hunt brothers were involved. And I think they didn't do anything really illegal. I just think the banks didn't want that to get out of control. They changed the margin rules. They settled in cash instead of silver. They played a lot of tricks to pop that run. But anyway, the high on silver was approximately $52 an ounce. So you've had the 80s, the 90s, the aughts, the teenage years. So you're now 45 years from that time. And silver has never gone back to that high, ever. You've had inflation. You've had devaluation, if you want to call that, of currencies. On a nominal basis, we've never gone through 52 for 45 years. In the everything bubble, real estate's up, bonds are up, stocks. Lauren Sanchez, they're all up. Except for silver. So I think silver remains the single best asset out there. And if silver were to break through 52, I think it goes to 125. But I think there might be a fight before that happens. Same with gold. But you know what scares me, Northeast Iowa? And I predicted this. The banksters, the journalists, the venture capitalists, the funds, the private equity guys and girls, they're all talking about gold and silver now. Last year, they were still buried. They didn't know, but Wall Street's starting to educate them. It's on the front news. Everybody is talking about it. So there may not be a pullback. So anyway, when I think gold, I've been predicting 5,000. It'll probably go higher now. Maybe silver will too. But then there'll be a crash. And as margin calls come in, all of these will pull back. Silver is volatile. Some people, like David Hunter, thinks that silver could come all the way back to under $30 in a correction. I don't see that happening. I think silver, once it breaks 52, could run and it could pull back, but I don't see it going below 52 again. Maybe a little bit, but not really. Silver and gold are being transferred to the east. I think that if we go to war, I think silver will be $300. One cruise missile uses 500 ounces of silver. It's horrible stuff. I do think war is probably an after Trump leaves office event. We'll probably have AOC. Maybe Hillary will still be around. We just got to go all the way with feminism, Marxism, idiotism, and we're going to do it, unfortunately. But it's, I pick on these isms. It's basically the banksters. They want the collateral of $100 trillion worth of Russian resources. And I don't even know how much the resources are in Iran. But all you need to do is change the governments and lend them dollars and pounds and yen, and all of a sudden you save our financial system. That's what's going on. It's a battle between our system and what comes next. And China, it might be ready now. I said for 2 or 3 years that I didn't think China had as much gold as they wanted. But I think they may be getting there. But my understanding, and I got that from Douglas McGregor, is China is setting up vaults in Saudi Arabia and elsewhere, but let's just focus Saudi Arabia and China, for gold and other assets. So when they transact, they buy oil. It's just a movement from the vault over to another vault. Unfortunately, the Victoria Nulands and the Hillary Clintons of the world, going along with the simps like Blinken and Joe Biden, whoever was signing for Joe Biden, we've decided to use the dollar as a club, as a bat, as a whip, and we've just greatly overestimated the value of the SWIFT system and our banking system. China, Russia, Iran, they're working on alternatives. And how does that get to your question? When the Hunt brothers were buying silver, the United States still had, I can't remember the number, but they still had stockpiles of silver above ground. The United States stockpiled silver during the world wars, particularly World War II and afterward. And I guess the banks with the government, they used some of that stockpile to get it all under control again. But those stockpiles of silver are gone. They do not exist anymore. And there's about 26 cowboys that trade silver, gold, platinum, palladium. They do it all with paper. They will sell the entire annual production of the world on the paper market in an hour. China's setting up an exchange that will not allow that. But the COMEX, the London Metals Exchange, they're crooked. as a $3 bill. China's setting up alternatives. No one trusts China particularly, but wait till that's an honest market. Water flows to the lowest level. Money flows to the most honest markets. So we're up against it. And anyway, what's happening in the COMEX and the LBMA is that big buyers go in and buy the futures contracts, and they're standing for delivery. It's still, they got it under control somewhat. But there's not a lot of supply in the West to come tamp it down anymore. The last time I looked at the numbers, I think the entire amount of silver in the warehouses they could use, I want to say it was 1 year's worth of production, 800 million ounces. But I don't think that's all gone, but I think a lot of it's gone. And here's the problem, Northeast Iowa. It's not going to you, not going to me, it's not going to the banks. Although I hear JP Morgan is the largest holder of silver, which is completely opposite of what used to be said, that Blythe Masters and JP Morgan was the biggest manipulator in short position of silver. My guess is the company that will go down if silver gets out of control is Merrill Lynch, Bank of America. But I'm not keeping up with everything because I'm focused on Railtown. But here's the problem. If our financial system needs silver, or if we need it for war, or if Elon Musk needs it, it's all in China. It's all in India. It's not quite all. It's not quite all. But there'll come a day where we go, oh my God. And that's tough. Silver is quite volatile. It takes a long time to get extra silver supply to the market. The company, where is it? Anyway, there's a company, I guess I'm not going to be able to get to the bloody FedEx. Maybe I can. I'll try to get this guy. He promised, his assistant promised that she would get an interview for me. I'll try to get this company on. What's going to happen, unfortunately, in all these markets, the easiest trade when they're out of favor is to buy the metal. But when you miss that rally and you miss the projects, you have no choice but to start buying the companies. And that's where it's going to be with me and my associates. We're going to miss out on this part of the move. But the company that I would, there's several silver companies I'd buy. But if you want a low price one, Dolly Varden Silver, DVS, and I'll get the CEO on here. That'll be $5 before you know it, and I believe it'll be taken out. It'll be taken over, but it has a lot of upside to the price of silver, and that's where you're going to have to start. Unfortunately, you won't be able to buy many ounces of physical silver at the nice price, and you'll have to start buying derivative silver by owning shares that have a per share position in silver. And Dolly Varden got destroyed by the shorts. I know it because I own it. But it's starting to break out. And I'd have to go through the numbers, but I think Dolly Varden is a way that you can own paper silver. Anyway, my long-term target for silver is even with gold. Even with gold. In a spike. It won't last that, but maybe it won't. Maybe it will. Silver is the single best investment out there over the long term. But now I'm going to confuse people. I want people to know I think Railtown gives you a chance in the near term to make 10x on your money. That's roughly $5. And I think once it's at $5, it'll be $15 fairly quickly. And once it's 15, who knows? It could be 25, it could be 50. But once it's in that $15 range and higher, with a tiny bit, tiniest bit, 5% margin, we can buy silver. That's my thinking. But it's a race. Everything might go at the same time. But silver's not going to give you 10x in the next 30 days. So that's why I Northeast Iowa, I haven't talked about it. But silver, I'm aware of it. I don't own any. I'm trying to organize owning some, but it's all about waiting. And I think I now know when things will loosen up. It's after silver is 150. So I've just accepted that I won't own silver. But like I've already said to you, there are stocks to own, and I gave you one, DVS, David Victor Sam. I'll try to get him on. Silver will hit triple digits. I'm not sure there won't be a correction. They're not going to let it break through 52 easily. They're just not. Unless they lose control, which is possible. But we're not at war yet. And we still are a very powerful nation, militarily, economically. Our banks are extremely powerful. And the British Empire still has its tentacles and strength. So this is not going to be a smooth, unless it goes out of control. If there's panic and people collectively make decisions like all these girls swallowing Tylenol, if TikTok or Zoom or whatever the hell people are using gets everyone talking about silver and gold at the same time, you'll have changes very quickly. I don't quite think we're there yet. And I do think that silver's the place to be. But right now, Northeast Iowa, the only thing to own is Railtown with speculative money. It's the only thing. I don't think silver's speculative. I think if Railtown goes from, let's say it goes to $50 in 6 months, that might be too late to wait. Let's say it goes to $50 in 6 months. We could take $5 of that, borrow $5 and buy silver. But I think by then, silver could be a lot higher. Unfortunately, everything's happening at the same time. And unfortunately for me, it's just a big wait for money. Where the step is going to be to make real wealth gains is going to be in the mining stocks. They're already moving. Big money has already claimed its spaces in the Barracks and the Newmonts. The private equity boys and girls are already kicking the tires on the tiny mining stocks. And it's just how it is. And, the people I want to work with they just have cash. And, cash over the last year, I guess it's nice to have. But man, silver went from 25, 22. Actually, when oh God, I fought so hard for the money. It was available all day long at $16, $17, $18. But when you're relying on others, you can't act. This is my feeling about Railtown. Act, just act. But anyway, it will go to triple digits, but silver's on its way to 1,000, and it'll probably break 10,000 eventually. But it's something that will be very volatile, and you're going to have to wait. If you haven't bought physical silver, I would buy junk silver first while it's available. As this starts moving, junk silver won't be available, and the spot price, the premium, will be gigantic. So if you buy a $100 bag of junk silver, you get 70 ounces. You're paying, I don't know, $2, $3 premium. But maybe in the run up, that premium goes to $20 or $30 premium. And you can sell that and buy bars with only a $5 premium, and you increase your 70 ounces of silver. I don't know, I can't do any arithmetic in my head anymore, to 90 ounces of silver. It's all going to be, at some point, what you're going to want to own is silver, not dollars, silver. But right now, Railtown for me is the way to turn dollars into a lot more dollars. And my hope is that the economy is strong. Trump things keep us stable. I hope Netanyahu falls, takes a dive off a short pier, long walk off a short pier. But if we can avoid war, Northeast Iowa, I think we're going to have 3 years, maybe more, to adjust our portfolios and take advantage of these things in a very calm, thoughtful way. But the first step is to build our corpus. And if we can take 12 million shares to, I don't know, $500 million or more, we can, I can start bringing deals to everybody that's still with me. We can create our own, anyway, we're not there yet. And to me, Railtown's the place to be. I think there's a lot of risk in the volatility of silver right now. When it was 22, 25, 28, all day long, screaming by. But even then it would pull back. In the 30s, I was like, God, you got to have it. And it pulled back one time. But now that it's 45, it'll be 50. I think they'll try to suppress it. And I think when they do suppress it, you could see 20, 25%, 30% pullback, and that'll scare the shit out of you. And these kind of guys will try to shake you. It's the same kind of guys doing it. So I'm a little betwixt and between. Would I recommend piling everything in right here? If you don't own any physical, go buy some junk silver. But I really right now think the only place to be is Railtown. And then we'll have all sorts of optionality. Bob S. And I'll do a better answer on silver, and I'll get that CEO. Bob S. just got on here. Hello, William. Good to see that Cornhole, again, such a wise person. Capricorn 1, you find fault with me as a person, but you don't seem to be disputing what I said. That's not true. That's how you operate. You try to make everything personal instead of talking about the facts. So you got it back assward. I'm not going to give you much time here. I'm not saying anything about you. You don't have the courage to put your name up. I think you're engaged in a very evil, cruel, harmful. It hurts people. Profession, if you can call it that. I wouldn't. You're just no better than a thief and a liar and a goon. But in terms of what you're saying, you're totally wrong. I'm not paid anything by Railtown. In fact, I haven't spoken to the company. I did speak to one guy, I don't know, 2 months ago, 6 weeks ago. But I don't have any contact. So, and I've tried to put all of my information out there in videos and in long presentations so people can go do their own due diligence. Railtown is not caught up in the toxic financing that you guys depend on that destroyed MULN, Torchlight, MMAT, Root for a while, Wolf for a while. Railtown's not in that position at all. So your methodologies are not going to work. We own 12 million shares here, and I know that that's the only stock you can find to help you out. The insiders aren't selling. The insiders aren't selling. Partly because they can't, but also because they're in it for the long haul. Insiders of Railtown right now, according to Google, own 40 million shares. And the float out there is 100 million. We have 12 million. And I know from talking to a lot of different people, there's anywhere from 30 to 50 million additionally that's not in these numbers that Google just came up with. Market Screener shows the top shareholders. Marwan Haddad has 15%, Corey Brandolini 13%, Paul Woodward 1.5%, and it goes down from there. None of those people are selling. None is selling. So your tricks aren't going to work in that sense. The only other thing you can try to do is get people so scared that as the stock goes up, they sell out. And that'll help you, because if you only lose at $5, you'll be able to keep your house. If you lose at $50, you're in a lot of trouble. I'm going to do everything I can here to make sure people are not shaken out. Of course, they can do and will do whatever they want. But I dispute everything you've written today, Cornhole. Everything you've written is not correct. You are, in every sense of a word, a liar, a fraud. I don't even know. I mean, do you call yourself I or we? How many personalities do you have? Jim, Railtown is now 43.59. Oh, let me look. Wow, it's showing 455 to 464. Last trade 463. You know no, sorry. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. That's the problem. That's Dolly Varden. Dolly Varden is showing almost 600,000 in volume. Railtown, I don't see the higher price for Railtown. 42.82. Bob S., I make my own investing decision. William does not make them for me. Obviously, you make your decisions on what William says, and you're not happy with that, so stop. Bob, cornhole is a short. Bob S., I respect William as a person and his foundational knowledge of the markets. He has a lot of wisdom as far as investing goes. So go away, cornhole. You don't feel the same, and that's okay. Hey, so now what? Okay, it's an attack on me. Might as well hear it from Cornhole. Most of you have knighted Sir William. Were not here 3 years ago. I have, and I know what I'm talking about. William knows too. Case in point, Lou scolded William, and William sobbed like a little boy. That's actually not true, and it's not worth talking about. My videos are out there. I may have been emotional previously, but it's just not worth going on. As far as I know, Lou and I were friends, and I don't have anything bad to say about Lou. And you're wrong. I'm sure you've been around for all that time because you are part of the short cabal. William ran away and Lou had to hold him and come back. Well, yeah, I remember, and I've done it many times since. I was so frustrated. I just said, I don't want to do this anymore. And I said that was my last, I wasn't going to do it any longer. And Lou did ask me to come back. It wasn't scolding. Lou asked me to come back. And I said I would. I don't remember all the specifics. Every stock pick that I led people to death, that's just not true. So I'm not going to spend time on it. Jack Hamilton, that answers that question. Shills definitely get paid by the comment. Good point. Middle ground, a good ring. Money magnet, what about silver miners? Yes, I know a bunch of them. The one I would right now try to buy is Dolly Varden Silver, DVS. I'll try to get the CEO on. I wanted to get through Railtown to the $5, $10, $15 level before I could get back to talking about what's next. But I guess we're just not going to get that kind of situation. Wall Street goes on vacation in the summer. Wall Street also gets into trends, and no one knew nothing about mining and gold and silver last year, but they started teaching them, and money's being raised, and money's starting to flow, and it's coming to the miners, and we're going to miss a lot of opportunities. What happens now, Money Magnet, is private equity boys and girls come in, they gobble it up. You might have 10x, 15x, 20x if you can go finance a project, then come out and offer shares, you have a huge jump in valuation. But the private equity guys and girls come in, take it, they mark it up, put it in funds, put it out to retail, and they take all that. That's what's happening, and it's going to happen very quickly. Unfortunately, while people I'm talking to are in cash, it's a shame. But anyway, the mining stocks are a place to be. I just today's Thursday. I'll see if I can get a interview with the CEO, maybe this weekend or early next week. I just don't want to distract people from Railtown. And I've been very disciplined to only talk about Railtown. And I feel very strongly about that. Hey, KYP. KYP got rid of cornhole. Yay! Yay! Here, I'll take them off of my thing too. Thank you. All right, it's 5:03. Let me see if there's any news. I really want to get to FedEx if I can. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to. Let's see if we're at war. Momentum massacre. Stock slammed. Look at the picture they put out there. Bonds battered. Crypto crashes. Silver soars. Gold glorious. Well, there you go. Just have to stay in cash until that goes to 150. Half of U.S. college students say socialism is better than capitalism. Musk's XAI wins federal deal. All the generals and admirals are going to Quantico. Lavrov says NATO has already declared war on Russia. CarMax shares crash most since .com bust. Oh, Lordy. Gold oil jump after Europe privately warns Russia it's ready to shoot down Russian jets. That's what's happening today, is fear of war. Fear of war. Damn it. Damn it, damn it, damn it. All right, let me see if there's anything else worth commenting. And then I'm going to just go do what I have to get done if I can. NORAD detects Russian warplanes near Alaska. Swell. Do you want to know how many people watched Jimmy Kimmel's first show? I really don't, but let's see. Oh, he got 6.26 million views. That's pretty good. um, Al-Qaeda calls for attacks on the United States. Oh, Lordy. Argentina unveils new effort to retake Falkland Islands. We're going to war. That looks like a good article, but I'm not sure I can read it. It's too risky. All right. Thank you, KYP. And thank you to everybody. I tried to show you how the roll-ups work and the value of AIP. It is exciting to watch silver and gold and all that, but I really strongly recommend remaining focused. Right now, nothing is happening in Railtown, but behind the scenes, I think a lot's happening. And once the artificial hold is taken off of buying, I think on a percentage basis, the moves you see upward in Railtown are going to dwarf anything that your eyes are being distracted by. When? I keep being wrong on the when. I would guess let's just plan on the first week of October so we don't drive ourselves crazy, but it could be any day. It could be any minute. I don't think the completion of the paperwork has anything to do with anything other than getting it finished. And we don't know when that'll be. Long time no see, KYP, says Julie Kim. Most welcome. All right, I'm going to go try to get this done. I'm a little overwhelmed. I can't think of the steps I need to take. But it's 5 o'clock, 5:10. I better go do it because the closest FedEx might be a mile away that stays open till 8 o'clock. So I'm going to go do it. I'm going to be selfish. Anyway, I appreciated everybody being here. Let's pray for peace. Let's pray the world stays peaceful. Let's pray that sane heads prevail. No one benefits from war. No one. No one. So, all right. Thank you very much. Peace.